Why do musics sound so different from one another? Let's listen to the following samples. This first sample is maqam music. Now let's listen to Western classical music. What we will hear now is Chinese music. This is the music that the First Nations of Australia, they create. Pay attention to the didgeridoo. This is music from Western Africa, Agbekor. What we will hear now is music from Bali, the gamelan. And closer to where I am in India, let's listen to the two different styles of music. First, the Karnataka music, and then Hindustani music. How different are these is something we don't need to be told. It's something that we perceive so naturally. But what is it that makes these musics sound so different from one another? Let's discuss that. There are two important reasons for the music sounding different. The first is that we all perceive an octave. We have a pitch, and the pitch that is twice in measure, twice the frequency of this pitch, is an octave. Every music has an octave. So that's the first thing. And this is part of human, the perceptual mechanism, the physiology. So it's very fundamental to human musicality itself. This is the first thing. And second thing, that there are pitches in between. From the first note of the octave to the last note of the octave, you can have innumerable pitches. There can be a continuum. You can have very closely associated pitches, or you can have very widely different pitches. The way these pitches are organized will determine how a particular music sounds. What we call intervallic difference between two pitches within an octave. This is the basis for all our understanding, our perception of music across the globe. All music theories, whether they are formal theories such as we will find in Western music, or rather formalized but still open to interpretation kind of theories that you will find in the Indian musical context, which we have had occasion to discuss, the idea of the swara and the shruti and the kind of indeterminacy that we find between them, or those which do not lend themselves, or rather are not subject to theoretical analysis. They have not been subject to theoretical analysis, but they are amenable to theoretical analysis. And when they are indeed analyzed, you will find that the way the octave is divided into intervals will be the basis for the kind of differences that we perceive in how one music sounds and how another music sounds. So these two things, one is the octave itself and our ability to discriminate pitches and the way they are organized. Each culture has a way of organizing them. It is not as though something suggests itself to a particular people that they should organize it in particular ways. It's not known how a particular people, a society, decides to divide the octave in particular ways. There is another important aspect to all musics. That is, whether explicitly or implicitly, any performance has some kind of a pitch to which all melodies return. The idea is that by variating the pitches, it's possible to create some kind of an aesthetic tension, and then that aesthetic tension is resolved when you return to that particular pitch. This pitch is called the tonic. In the Indian system, you have sa re ga ma pa dha ni, and sa is a tonic. I'll try and demonstrate what I mean by the tonic and the nature of the tensions that can be created by moving away or by varying the intervallic distances between pitches. Tensions are created and those tensions are resolved by returning. Of course, there can be local level tonics. You could be using within an octave a certain pitch with reference to which you're creating melodies, and you return to that. When you do that musically, that is a cadence. It's called a cadence. It resolves to a particular pitch, but the overall performance you'll find is usually returning to a tonic. Of course, because Western musical theory has made it possible for us to understand what it is that music composers are trying to do. And since they found that in Western music, because several pitches are used simultaneously in harmony, and because harmony is not easy to achieve, because each pitch has a particular way in which it harmonizes with other pitches. So the entire range of harmonic possibilities, although from a intuitive perspective it must look like an infinity, but these are governed by simple arithmetical rules. Pythagoras is Pythagoras is attributed one of the first discoveries that he discovered the kind of relationships that exist between pitches to produce a nice harmonious tone. And harmony, of course, is definitely the Greek tradition continues to live on in Western musical traditions. And using this Western, the harmony in perspective, several people have tried to change the way those pitches are related by varying you do it practically, but if you were to find out what pitches are these, measure the pitches and calculate their relationships, they will be irrational, odd kind of relationships. The ratios would be very large number ratios. Normally harmonies are between, the ratios will be very simple. For example, the octave is 2:1. So because it is double the frequency, then there is a fifth note, the perfect fifth. It is 3:2, 4:3, and so on. These are all simple numbers in the ratios. But when you have say 85 by say 67 or something, and it's possible, these are all possible numbers, and they already begin to move away from the harmonies that the Western system is typically used to. So that is how the Western system organizes itself. You start with the theory and then try to work ways around it, change the ratios and create new systems. Indeed, the Schoenberg was among many who tried to move away and create two radical departures from the Western theoretical norm. One is he did away, in a manner of speaking, with the starting point, the tonic. So you could start on any note and you could end on any note. And again, there is another principle that is normally observed, which is called, usually you use 7 notes in a composition, diatonic it's called, but he used all the 12 notes. We have discussed the 12 notes in a previous episode, but just quickly to recap, the piano, this historically, there were different kinds of tuning, but around 18th century beginning and towards the later part, there was a move to divide an octave on the keyboard into exactly 12 frequencies, 12 pitches. So this was called the equal temperament. So obviously one advantage is because each frequency is so neatly divided, the octave is so neatly divided, you can easily create those ratios and control the ratios in such a way that they provide the most harmonic sounding. Of course, this is within a culture. What sounds harmonic to one society might not necessarily seem harmonic to another society. But since music theory is largely a Western contribution, so the norm was being violated, transgressed by people like Schoenberg. So they used 12 tones. And so that is one kind of departure. Then you have musics like jazz, where the ratios and the intervallic, like microtonal changes were made in the intervals, and they sounded very different. Let's listen to a piece of, to compare. Let's listen to this piece by Bach, and then by Schoenberg, and then a piece of jazz. You will see how, although they are based on the same system, by making those departures, they already begin to sound so different within a larger, ecosystem, let me call it. So let's listen and see what these are.